The unspoken truth challenging the stereotype, domestic violence. We hear these words and a picture flashes in our minds. A woman bruised and cowering. While this image reflects a terrible reality for many women, it also overshadows another truth. Men, too, can be victims of abuse within their own homes. They often suffer in silence, trapped by societal expectations and a lack of understanding. This silence is not a sign of weakness. It is a consequence of deeply ingrained social norms. For generations, men have been taught to be strong, stoic, and self-reliant. Showing vulnerability, especially within a relationship, can feel like a betrayal of this masculine ideal. This societal conditioning makes it incredibly difficult for male victims to come forward. They fear judgment, disbelief, and even ridicule. We must challenge this harmful stereotype. Domestic abuse is not a gender issue, it is a human issue. The statistics tell a powerful story. While women are more likely to experience severe forms of physical violence, men are not immune. Studies show that a significant percentage of men have experienced some form of abuse from a partner, whether physical, emotional, verbal, or financial. These numbers may even be underestimated given the reluctance of many men to report their experiences. Beyond the bruises forms of abuse against men, abuse is not always visible. While physical violence leaves its mark, the scars of emotional and psychological abuse run deep. Men can be subjected to controlling behavior, constant belittlement, threats, and manipulation. They may be isolated from loved ones, denied access to finances, or have their parental rights threatened. Verbal abuse, often disguised as jokes or teasing, can chip away at a man's self-esteem. He may be constantly criticized, humiliated, or made to feel inadequate. This can lead to anxiety, depression, and even suicidal thoughts. Financial abuse is another insidious form of control. A partner may restrict access to bank accounts, sabotage employment opportunities, or run up debts in the man's name. The impact of abuse on men is profound and long-lasting. They may struggle with PTSD, substance abuse, and difficulty forming healthy relationships. The shame and stigma associated with being a male victim can prevent them from seeking help, perpetuating a cycle of silence and suffering. It is time to acknowledge the full spectrum of abuse that men face and provide them with the support they deserve. Walls of silence. Why men stay silent? Why is it so hard for men to break the silence? The answer lies in the complex interplay of societal expectations, fear, and a lack of support. From a young age, boys are taught to man up, to suppress their emotions, and to never appear weak. This conditioning can make it incredibly difficult to admit vulnerability, even in the face of abuse. Fear is another powerful silencer. Men in abusive relationships may fear for their physical safety, especially if their partner is physically stronger or has threatened them. They may fear losing their children, their homes, or their reputations. This fear can be paralyzing, keeping them trapped in a cycle of abuse. The lack of support for male victims is a significant barrier to breaking the silence. There is a common misconception that domestic violence shelters and support services are exclusively for women. While resources for men are improving, they are still inadequate and often underfunded. This lack of readily available support can make men feel isolated and hopeless. Breaking free. A call to action for men and society. Breaking the silence surrounding male victims of domestic abuse is not just about individual men finding their voice. It is about societal change. We must create a culture where men feel safe and supported in coming forward, where their experiences are validated, and where they can access the resources they need to heal. To the men suffering in silence, you are not alone. Your experiences are valid, and seeking help is a sign of strength, not weakness. Reach out to a trusted friend, family member, therapist, or helpline. There are people who care about you and want to help. To society at large, we must challenge the stereotypes and biases that prevent men from seeking help. We must educate ourselves about the realities of domestic violence against men and advocate for better resources and support services. We must create a world where all victims, regardless of gender, are heard, believed, and supported. Breaking the silence is a collective responsibility. Let's start today.